Folks, welcome to yet another 100 before 40 race update, race review. In this video, folks, we're going to talk about the Kazungula Bridge Marathon, one of the epic marathons that are planned to run in 2023. So after some 2 months of planning, folks, the day was finally here. It was time to take to the road and head off to Kasane for the Kazungula Bridge Marathon. I hope you enjoyed this video, folks. The very first suspect, partner in crime.
Good morning, folks. We're on our way to long drive. Hopefully late early evening we'll be there, and we'll keep you in the loop on the way. And yeah, hopefully all goes well, and we should be there by 6-7 o'clock tonight.
All right, folks. This is going to be a long drive. It promises to be a brilliant one, beautiful one.
No comment. We go in. Have fun. See you later. We'll talk when we're at the road. Great driving. I'm busy here.
This is me on an early morning. I'm a fly on the wall, and I'm not driving. Yeah, I'm the thorn amongst the roses. Check in later.
Because we were not too sure of what lay ahead, folks, even though we had an idea that it would be a 14 to 17 hour drive, we decided not to play around much on our way. So we cut out some of the pit stops that we would have wanted to do. So we took, I think, only 2 pit stops before we got to the border. And folks, regarding the border, as you know, there are those signs, no videos, no pictures, no whatever. So we decided we would rely on the dashcam footage from the car to show you what happened as we crossed the border. But unfortunately, because of some factors that you will see later on, we forgot to back up the dashcam footage, and because it was too long of a trip and the memory on the dashcam was not that good, it started overwriting all the files and we lost our earlier footage. But the border crossing, folks, was quite smooth. The South African side didn't take us 10 minutes tops. The Botswana side, we probably spent a bit more time there because we were told to join the same queue as the commercial vehicles queue to pay for the road tolls and insurance. That's the only part that took time. We must have spent about 45 minutes to 55 minutes. Folks, it's turning out to be a slow start to Botswana.
To buying a SIM card?
So we had to find a SIM card. We eventually found one, but the guy didn't have airtime. So we started there. They said they didn't have SIM cards, but they have airtime. Then we went there. He didn't have airtime, but he has SIM card. So now we're going back to buy the airtime.
Yeah. And
I don't think Don and Julian are pleased with what's going on because they are probably thinking these ones know that we have another 7 hours to drive. But well, folks, that's what it is. It's a road trip after all. I mean, the running is only going to be 5 hours, and that's that. The rest is the rest.
And did you tell the folk about our Rika experience?
Yes, we must tell you about the Rika here. Or is it? Yeah, Rika. It's a long process. Hey, you put your date of birth, your grandchildren's names, your everything, and that process takes like a good 5 minutes. When a guy has to scroll to your date of birth, you know, the years, he has to scroll like month by month by month. So imagine if you are 76 and he has to scroll 12 months, 76 years. So yeah, I mean, folks, we carry on with this story. We are now in Francistown, a pit stop. You haven't seen Don because Maki and I have been doing this thing.
Yeah.
Don is also here.
I'm here.
He's been doing some charity work, driving. Very well, I must say. Okay, so how much more do we have to go?
Just under 5.
Pit stop.
Yes, pit stop. We are here. Buddy, we still a long way to go. We are now left with 500 kilometers to go. We've traveled about 1,000. Yeah, so far so good. Trip is alright. We have managed to dodge the Botswanan police for now. I don't know how long we'll manage to win that one, but it's gonna be alright. Just having numbers, eh? I'm not so sure what they call this now. It looks like a very nice one. Not yet. It's been a nice
John
smooth
had
ride.
his driver's license in the boot. The police officer was nice though. He's like, keep it with you here.
But he knew we had it.
So that Francistown pit stop, as you would have noted, folks, was quite a long pit stop. In fact, in hindsight, it was unnecessarily long, but that was because there was a long queue at this Nando's. And the reason we went to Nando's was Don believes that if you want to perform like a champion, you must also carbo load like the champions do. And he has always read or watched YouTube videos about how the Kenyans carbo load on ugali. Our version of that is sadza. I'm not so sure if sadza is the same as ugali, because when I was in Kenya and I had ugali, I was like, okay, there are some subtle differences, but I attributed those subtle differences to the differences that you would have when I make sadza and when my mother makes sadza. It's quite different. So after that pit stop, it was time for a shift change, and something about the shifts, folks. We had agreed that each person would have a 2-hour driving shift. That was to ensure that, you know, just as you are getting tired or fatigue is creeping in, we will change the drivers. But the pink tutu runner had broken that rule because he had driven all the way from the border to Francistown. And in Francistown, he had basically said, that's it, I've retired now. It's up to you folks to drive. We only have about 500 kilometers, so if you break it down, you probably would do 2 hours each. So it was my turn and I had to take the shift. And I took the shift as the sun was setting. As the sun is setting, it was getting dark. And if there's anything called dark black, yes, dark black, I saw it on this day, because when there were no other cars around you, you couldn't see much other than just a small strip where your lights are focusing. Everywhere else, it was pitch black. But I must say, even in those circumstances, Maki and I managed to spot some elephants on the roadside. So I drove from about 5:30, all things being equal. By 8 o'clock, there should have been a shift change. But by that time, we were all now focusing on getting there. I think part of the excitement had died down because we were now driving in the dark. There was nothing much to see. We just wanted to get there. So I just carried on and carried on and carried on. I must have driven about 400 or almost 400 kilometers. Just we passed a small town called Pandamatenga, and thereabout, I started feeling, maybe you can say hallucinating. I don't know what term you would use, but I was quite fatigued. So because we were just in this bush and it was dark, and I must have been sleepy, I started feeling like we are driving towards, we are going downhill towards another massive hill in front of us. That was the black or dark part. But I just kept going and I was not getting to this mountain, and I felt like, hey, this mountain keeps moving away. We got to Pandamatenga, I think just before 11, and by that time I had been driving for, if you count from 6 o'clock, I had been driving for almost 5 hours, so I had done a double shift. So we stopped on the roadside and it was time for a shift change, and Julian took over, and Julian must have driven about 20 minutes or even less than 20 minutes, and the next thing happened.
He's coming from Durban and he's going to Congo. Is that thing at the bottom there? What is it? Like that. It makes me feel. Mine. Okay. Sorry. Mine.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. Oh, shit. Very good.
Mine.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. Oh, shit.
That's good.
Shit. Sorry, guys.
Let's go right onto the grass there because the track might just clear us. I think keep going there, Julian. There, right in the bush there.
I can see it.
So when we stopped, even though we were all worried, of course, but we were quite bullish about it. We were like, nah, just a quick tire change and we carry on. But boy, we were not ready for what we saw. So we all quickly went to the front tire and we were like, okay, it's out. And while we were focusing on that, Don, I think must have been Don, who then said, hey folks, come here. He was calling us to the rear tire or the back tire. And we noticed that even that one was damaged beyond repair. So now we had a problem. We had lost two tires in one go tires. So we had one spare tire and two damaged tires. Even the truck driver, when he stopped, he tried to say, oh, I can pump it for you, but it was just too damaged that there was pumping it was not going to hold any pressure. Usually pumping, the pressure would be going out. So we thanked the truck driver for his generosity and his attempt to assist us. And before he left, folks, he was the very first person to say to us, folks, please just be careful. There are lions and leopards and cheetahs and not to mention elephants that roam around here. So it's in your interest to stay in the car when you're not doing anything. And that was like, whoa, what are you talking about? So, and I must mention, folks, that as we were trying to fix our problem, almost every car that came stopped by and they checked if they could assist. Even truck drivers stopped and checked if they could assist. This is something that I could say was a beautiful thing about Botswana. We didn't have to flag people down. As soon as they saw hazards and all that, they knew someone was in trouble, especially in the middle of this bush where there are wild animals there. And they did where they could. Can we offer you some water and whatever? And the parting shot was always, please stay in the car, it's dangerous here. So after fitting the spare that we had, we thought, okay, because we're in the middle of the bush, it's dangerous here and all that, let's run flat. Let's see how far this one in the back will get us, because I mean, we were only about 50 kilometers away from Kazungula. So we thought, let's just keep going. Maybe, just maybe, we may run flat and get there. But obviously we were wrong, because less than 3 kilometers down the line, we were like, no, sorry guys, let's stop, because we might end up damaging the rims here. This is not getting us anywhere. So we stopped. As I said, a lot of people stopped to offer help, and most of them couldn't, because we just had a massive problem in front of us. But out of the blue, there was another, well, let me not say out of the blue, because everyone else was stopping, but they pulled up this car. And when the passenger opened the window, he was holding his beer, and the immediate reaction was like, Bunch is probably just drinking, coming from a pub. They're just stopping because it's catches to stop here. Little did I know that this was probably our guardian angel who had been sent just to rescue us, because it turned out Mr. Scotch, who was driving, I didn't see him drinking, so let's be clear here. His passenger was drinking, he was tipsy and all that. But Mr. Scotch, who was driving, turned out to be a mechanic from Kazungula. And because he's a mechanic from Kazungula, he knows, or he knew, the right people in Kazungula. He asked us around, so how can we assist you guys? I think I know someone who's with a tire place that could be able to access their workshop this late and all that. Tried to phone that chap, but they couldn't answer. Then said it may just be advisable that I go with you guys to his workshop. Let's see if he has the right tire for you. come back, fit it, and then we can fix all the things in the morning. And he offered all these things while we were trying to understand what he's talking about. And if there's anything, folks, and I must say this upfront before I tell you more about Scotch, his attitude was just that of a guy who was trying to help. Throughout the encounter, he gave me the vibes that, look, he's just a brother man who's trying to assist. And in the end, if you think you can offer him something, you should offer him something. No vibes of, hey, the tab is open and the tab is running, that kind of thing. And that carried on until the end. Even at the end, when we offered him a cool drink, it was almost like, guys, I was just trying to help. The next time when I'm in Joburg, it might be me. You guys have already paid for the tires, you've paid for all those other services. This is the least I could do. Anyway, so Scotch then took Julian and I to a tire place. After we got there, we got to the place of the guy who manages the tire place, knocked a bit and all that. It didn't open, and eventually he opened. Scotch explained what was happening. Then the guys, in the middle of the night, this must have been like 2:30 a.m., ran around and all that and get a wheel, not even a tire, a wheel that we thought would fit on my car. So we drive back, we get there, we put it, 5 holes, or is it 6 holes? It fits. Don does his magic, screws it, tightens it and all that. We pack up everything. We're like, yes, we are back in business. Don takes over the driving, forward gear, handbrake down. The car didn't move even an inch. And all of a sudden, some light that I didn't know exists pops out on the dashboard there, saying, now this is the wrong tire or the wrong wheel you have put here. So we thought, what is this thing talking about? These electronics, sometimes they're just too sensitive. So we went back and we checked underneath, and then we realized that, okay, it is right, because when you put the wheel, so this is the thing on the car and this is the wheel, it goes in like that. When you put it like that, they told me the technical term. I'm sorry for my ignorance, and I should have done the research before this video. But when we put that thing there, and as the tire has to turn, this thing here was a bit narrow, so it was touching on one of the parts here. So from this, we are going home, we are going to sleep in the B&B, forget the wild animals thing. You know, our hopes that were here just went like whoop. We were back to zero. Then at that stage, we had to do some quick thinking. We're like, okay, guys, Scotch is still here. He has to go. He has tried to help as much as he can. Now, they've told us about lions, and in fact, as we were trying to fit the wheel, Scotch was like, listen, can you hear that? That's lions, but don't worry, they are in a distance. They were roaring in a distance. But he said he couldn't guarantee that there are no elephants, because elephants are the most common in that area. So it's like, I can't guarantee there are no elephants. So while he was still around, we decided, you know what, if the lions or the leopards or the cheetahs eventually come and eat us, at least 1 or 2 of us must be able to go back home and tell them what happened. So we decided, Madam Bus Driver and Pink Tutu Runner, please go ahead and book in and check into the B&B. At least that way we would have people in town in contact with civilization, because where we were, the cell phone reception or network kept bouncing up and down. So if we were to be stuck on our own, all of us in one place, getting help would have been even more problematic. Even though Scotch had now been in contact with us, he was now helping us. We thought it would be better if they were there. They could communicate with Scotch and do whatever needed to be done. So off they went, and Julian and I were left alone there. So the first 30 minutes to an hour were quite nerve-wracking. This must have been just after 3 or almost 3:30, and now we're trying to sleep. I think the moment I crossed some threshold, I went into deep sleep. The next 2 hours to 2.5 hours, I was in deep sleep. I was woken up in the morning, I think it must have been around 6:15, by cars that were passing from Kazungula, because there was a time when it must have been a truck, it was making so much noise. So that's woke me up. But when I looked at the time, I'm like, oh, it's still early to be trying to do anything. if anything, places that sell these things, tires and all that, open at 8, so we are not in a hurry anyway. So I tried to keep sleeping, but I couldn't, because by now, we're worrying now, but will we get the tires? What will happen? Are we going to run the race and all those things? And also, we now remember we're still in the same bush. Maybe the animals that were sleeping at night probably might make a trek back to some water source. And it's Julian and I decided to stay in the car. So we stayed in the car and just watched everything else that was going on. And eventually, when it was time that we thought we could call people, we could call Scotch, because he was the only person that we could actually speak to. So when we thought it was time to call him, I started looking for network, but there wasn't network, and most of the times I had to go out of the car and sit on top of the car. But it so happened that as I was sitting in the car, I got 2 bars of network, and then this was what happened.
Oh, thank God.
Hello?
Mr. Scotch.
How are you?
We woke up. We're still here. The elephants didn't bump the car.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least there's network. Yeah. I managed to
Start
get
recording
that
event video.
Oh, where?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good news. That's good.
Good year, friend.
Okay, well, look, right now we just want to get the car moving, all right? Yeah?
Yeah.
So what's going to happen?
He said he will give me a feedback in less than 30 minutes to give me the price.
Okay.
So about an hour and a half or an hour 45 minutes later, Scotch and this gentleman pulled up, and they had a brand spanking new tire for us. I mean, this felt like Christmas or New Year's, whichever you celebrate. It was like, whew, I just didn't think we'd get these tires, and the fact that the other one was already waiting for us there was such a relief. So quickly fitted this one, and voila, we were back in business. We then followed Scotch and this gentleman to their workshop for the rest of the tire changes. So that 17-hour drive of ours, folks, became more than 24 hours. I think we left my place just before 5, and by the time Julian and I got into the B&B, it was almost midday. So it must have been now 28 hours, if you can do the math. So we quickly freshened up and we're like, no, we're not going to leave things to a chance here. Let's quickly go and collect our race picks and our numbers, and the rest will follow. Alright, folks, race collection. I'm
going to buy a Toyota. You can do it quick.
Yeah, John wants to buy a Toyota. John wants to buy a Toyota. Now I'm here to collect my number. In case you... I'm here.
Proof of life?
Yes, proof of life. It's important to show you proof of life. I'm here, right?
Hey, Mama, I made it.
Yeah, we made it. Maybe we just came late because everyone tends to get excited and come really early, but it looks like low key, very low key. John is looking like the dog. So where's the 42? So where's the 42 now? It has to be this one.
Let's go there. Let's go.
That's fine.
Okay, this is the queue. Let's go.
42, that side.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's so cute. All the 42s are here.
No, but these are 10s or 5s. So where are the 42s?
Hello. Are you in the queue there?
Yeah, we're waiting for sizes.
Oh, a t-shirt. Okay, may we register, please? Thank you. Who's collecting?
I'm saving trees. Here's mine.
Your passport?
ID.
ID? It's in the car. You got the keys.
I'm going there as well.
Registration process. It's problematic. Obviously, you need ID to show who you are. Come on, are you sure you're doing 42? Huh? You sure? You look like a 5K.
2.5.
Super 5K for this lady. She can't finish 42.
4.2K marathon.
Very interesting. How people run away from the heat and they get ready to run the 42. So under the halfway here, with people lining up for the t-shirts. Understanding the t-shirts just arrived now. Obviously you've got the podium. T-shirt, shorts and more.
So, folks, I've collected my number. 4080 100 before 40. Look out for this number. This is where the money is going, right?
This is actually where the money is going.
Then-
First late.
You can look at me at 4081. That's me. That's me. Yeah, waiting for time.
What size are you?
You're going to get extra large, my guy.
All right, folks. A lot has been happening. We picked our numbers. Don didn't have his passport and whatever. He has to go back. And then the t-shirts, is not made sure. There is large, extra medium, extra small. Anyway, now we need to go and grab something to eat. What are we eating?
We're eating salsa.
There's no salsa here. Is it not bokobe? Yeah. And what else? Yeah, I think this is becoming a marathon of disasters. Everything is just not working. So we ordered food, we ordered pap and whatever. We're just being told the pap is finished. We would have to wait for 20 minutes and all those things. So now, but we'll come to the pap and all that. Let's just talk about the respect collection. In my view, it was chaotic. You get there, you don't know which queue to join, and then you join the other one, and some others were leaving passports in a box. We were not asked to leave ours. Only later someone else told us no, maybe for the border. And then the t-shirts. In fact, Don is the one who got pissed off more about the t-shirts. Let's hear what his story, Don. Because you went to sit down. You were like,
I had enough. Can't be waiting for teachers that you don't know when they're gonna come. It was really, really chaotic. You look at it, you think about t-shirt, race bag should go hand in hand. They have your name, they have everything that you need. So why don't they make sure that the t-shirts and everything is there?
in fact, you pre-ordered your size.
So I ended up getting a skate. I think I'll give it to my daughter. She'll wear the skate. That's the only consolating part. But otherwise, it's been a disaster. Thank you guys, but that's it. But we're praying. They say a bad start sometimes makes a very good ending. So far, all the wrong boxes have been ticked. That's all I can say. Kazungula, oi!
I have run many races, and this was by far the worst collection ever. We were burning in the sun. We weren't directed to where we were supposed to go. But anyway, we made it out. We ended up taking large, all of us, just to move. We thought our problems were many, and there are people that have more problems than us. So we kind of feel okay-ish. Yeah, so we're just happy that the car is sorted. And but yeah, nonetheless, collections are done. We are now getting with the feeding station. There is no pub. Oh my good old. Let's hope that
Train those guys and you guys can carry on.
let's hope there is a lot of thingy to load, a lot of water and whatever,
And good weather.
and good weather, and some food on the route. We don't know.
After the carbo loading at Nando's again, this time we retreated to our rooms, and it was now time to open the goodie bag, open the race bag to see what was in there. And what I saw in there, folks, was quite impressive. I thought it was a practical race pack. It had some of the things that you would need. For example, that mosquito insect thing that you see as I unpacked there came in handy because it was something that I needed. Even though I had the spray, I thought that was much better. You connect it, and I immediately put mine on. And I must say, I had a good night's sleep.